I had always believed kneeling was a sign of weakness. On Kepri Station, kneeling meant submission, a defeated pirate begging for mercy, a disgraced officer stripped of rank, a conquered species forced to acknowledge a superior power. I had seen it countless times during my years as a human envoy in alien space. Every culture had its rituals, but kneeling was universal. It was the moment pride broke. So when the Empress of Vyrexia ordered me to kneel, in front of her entire court, I knew my career, and possibly my life, was over. The grand hall of echoing light was designed to overwhelm. The ceiling arched so high it vanished into shimmering energy clouds, artificial stars drifting slowly above us. Columns grown from living crystal pulsed with soft violet light, responding to the thoughts of the Vyrexian nobles gathered in their semicircle. Thousands of eyes, some faceted, some luminous, some hidden behind translucent crests, were fixed on me. I stood alone at the center. No armor, no weapon, just a formal envoy's code and the insignia of Earth pinned to my chest. The Empress sat on her throne of folded light, her tall, slender form draped in ceremonial filaments that shifted color with her mood. Her face was almost humanoid, almost, but her eyes held depths no human lifetime could measure. Human, she said, her voice resonating directly inside my skull. You will kneel. A murmur rippled through the court. My translator implant faltered for half a heartbeat, as if shocked by the command. I felt my jaw tighten. Every instinct screamed to refuse. Earth's treaties were clear. No human representative was required to kneel before a foreign sovereign. I am Ambassador Elias Crow, I said carefully. I stand here as an equal representative of. Kneel, she repeated. The word carried weight this time. Not force. She wasn't using psionics to compel me, but expectation. Tradition. Something older than the station itself. I saw the warning flicker in the eyes of the Vyrexian chancellor standing to her right. A subtle tilt of the head. A plea. I made my decision. Slowly, deliberately, I lowered myself onto one knee. The hall went silent. Not a breath, not a whisper, not even the hum of the living crystals. It was as if the station itself was holding still. I expected humiliation, anger, a surge of resentment so strong it would burn in my chest for years. Instead, I felt something else. A warmth spread through my spine, faint but unmistakable, like standing near a reactor core shielded by layers of glass. My vision sharpened. Colors deepened. The stars above the hall pulsed once, in perfect synchronization with my heartbeat. The Empress rose from her throne. Good, she said softly. That single word unsettled me more than the command had. She descended the steps, each movement fluid, graceful, impossibly precise. When she stood before me, I could see the fine lattice of light beneath her skin, patterns that mirrored the station's architecture. Elias Crow, she said, speaking my name aloud for the first time. Do you know why humans were invited into Vyrexian space? Trade, I answered. Mutual defense. Scientific exchange. She smiled, and it was not a cruel smile. It was sad. That is what we told your leaders, she said. That is what we told ourselves. She extended one long, luminous finger and touched my forehead. The world shattered. I was no longer in the grand hall. I stood on a plain of black glass under a sky of burning gold. Towers of light rose in the distance, connected by arcs of energy that crackled like living lightning. I felt vast presences moving beyond my perception, their thoughts brushing against mine like ocean currents against a stone. This is memory, a voice echoed, not hers, but older. And truth. Images flooded my mind. A young universe, raw and violent. stars colliding, galaxies tearing each other apart. And amid the chaos, a species emerging, not Virexian, not human, but something ancient and adaptable beyond comprehension. I saw them shape reality itself, folding dimensions like paper, carving stable paths through space-time. Guardians, engineers, architects of order. Then I saw their mistake. They created servants, lesser beings to maintain the structures they built. Those servants learned, adapted, questioned, rebelled. War followed, not with ships and weapons as we knew them, but with laws of physics rewritten mid-battle. Entire regions of space collapsed into nothingness. Timelines fractured. To survive, the architects did the unthinkable. They broke themselves apart. Fragments of their essence were seeded across the galaxy, hidden within younger species, dormant, diluted, waiting for the right conditions, waiting for recognition. The vision snapped back to the hall. I gasped, nearly losing my balance on one knee. The Empress withdrew her hand. "You felt it," she said. The resonance. I looked up at her, my heart hammering. "What did you do to me?" "I showed you what you already carry," she replied. The Chancellor stepped forward, his voice trembling. "Your radiance is this wise? The human is unprepared." "He has always been prepared," she said. "His species was shaped for it." My mind raced. "You're saying humans are descendants of these architects?" "Not descendants," she corrected. "Vessels." The word hit harder than any insult. "Dormant fragments," she continued. "Scattered, weakened, but intact. Your adaptability, your intuition, your capacity to bond with technology and abstract concepts, it is not coincidence." I thought of humanity's rapid rise, our strange ability to survive almost anywhere, to integrate alien tech faster than its creators expected, to dream of stars long before we could reach them. "You ordered me to kneel," I said slowly, because kneeling aligns the fragment," she said. "It is a key, not a humiliation." Around us, the court erupted into whispers. "The Virexians discovered this centuries ago," she continued. "We tested dozens of species. Only humans responded fully." I pushed myself to my feet, ignoring the dizziness. "So what? You bring us here, manipulate us, activate us, and expect gratitude." Her gaze hardened. "We expect survival." The stars above flickered, and the hall darkened. "There is something coming," she said. "Something that hunted the architects to near extinction. It has been quiet for eons, consuming realities beyond your perception." A projection bloomed in the air, a void that wasn't empty, a shape defined by absence, devouring galaxies without light or explosion. "It has noticed you," she said. Silence swallowed the hall. "You kneel not to me," the Empress continued, her voice now carrying the weight of an entire civilization. "You kneel to what you are, to awaken it." I laughed, sharp and disbelieving. "You could have just asked." "No," she said gently. "If you had known beforehand, you would have refused. Pride is also part of your design." I thought of Earth, of billions of people unaware that they carried fragments of an ancient power, of governments arguing over borders while something older than time crept closer. "What happens now?" I asked. The Empress turned back toward her throne. "Now," she said, "you return home." Earth had never felt so small. From orbit it looked the same as always, blue-green, alive, but I could feel it differently now. A low hum beneath my thoughts, like countless quiet minds sleeping just beneath the surface. The Virexians kept their word. No public announcement. No grand revelation. Just data packages transmitted through diplomatic channels, encoded in ways only human intuition could fully decode. We began to change. Not overnight, not dramatically, but engineers started solving problems they hadn't realized were solvable. Physicists dreamed equations that bent established laws without breaking them. Children spoke of places they had never been, drawing symbols that matched ancient alien constructs. And me? I was different. I could sense the fragments in others, faint echoes resonating when I passed them in corridors or crowds. Most were quiet, dormant, waiting for what I didn't know, until the sky tore open above Mars. The first sign wasn't visual. It was absence. Satellites went dark without transmitting failure signals. Space telescopes saw regions where stars simply stopped. The thing the Empress had shown me was here. Earth's fleets mobilized. Virexian warforms emerged from folded space. 100 allied species prepared defenses that would have terrified any conventional enemy. It didn't matter. Weapons passed through the void creature without effect, as if it existed half a step outside reality. Entire ships vanished, not destroyed, but erased. I stood in the command chamber of Earth's unified defense, every eye on me. "You said you had a way," the Secretary General whispered. I closed my eyes and knelt, not in submission, in alignment. The resonance surged, no longer faint. Across Earth, across colonies and stations, millions felt it at once. A shared dream, a shared memory. We remembered who we were meant to be. The fragments awakened, not as individuals, but as a network. Minds linked across light years, forming something greater than any single species. I stood, and the void recoiled. Not from weapons, from recognition. The architects were not gone. They had simply been waiting to stand again. Together, as the darkness retreated, torn apart by laws rewritten once more, I understood the final truth the Empress had never spoken aloud. Kneeling had never been about obedience. It was about remembering how to rise. And this time, the galaxy would rise with us. The void did not flee in panic. It withdrew, like a predator recognizing that the prey it had stalked for eternity had finally turned to face it with open eyes. Space stabilized. The torn regions around Mars sealed themselves, not with explosions or light, but with a quiet certainty, as if reality itself had been reminded of its original shape. Wreckage drifted where ships had been erased, but no further losses followed. Across Earth, the resonance slowly faded. People collapsed in offices, homes, streets, and command centers, overwhelmed not by pain, but by memory. Ancient memory. The kind that left behind a sense of purpose so heavy it made breathing feel sacred. I stood at the center of the unified defense chamber, my knees trembling, sweat cold against my skin. I had not commanded the awakening. I had allowed it. "That was you?" the Secretary General asked, her voice barely audible. "No," I replied honestly. "That was us." Silence followed, not stunned, but reverent. We had crossed a line no species ever crossed twice. The weeks that followed reshaped humanity forever. The truth could not be hidden. Too many had felt it. Too many had seen the sky fold and unfold. The Virexians released their records publicly, no longer seeing secrecy as protection but as delay. Earth reacted exactly as the Empress had predicted. Fear came first, then denial, then division. Some called us gods. Others called us weapons. More than a few demanded we be controlled, regulated, dismantled if possible. Old instincts did not vanish simply because we remembered something ancient. But something had changed. When leaders screamed, people listened, and then chose cooperation anyway. When panic spread, it burned out faster than it ever had before. Humanity had touched unity once. Even briefly, It left a scar on our collective soul that could not be erased. And I carried the heaviest scar of all. The Empress returned 3 months later, not with a fleet, alone. She arrived on Earth without announcement, appearing in the reconstructed chamber where I now worked as something that no longer fit neatly into any title. Not ambassador, not commander, anchor. You survived, she said, studying me with eyes that saw far more than flesh. We all did, I replied. For now. She inclined her head, a gesture that, among the Virexians, was the equivalent of kneeling. The entity has retreated beyond observable dimensions, she said. It will return. I know. You also know, she continued, that you cannot awaken the fragments again in the same way. I met her gaze, because next time we wouldn't come back as individuals. She did not deny it. The architects were never meant to exist fragmented forever. Unity was power, but it was also surrender. To become what we once were fully would mean losing what made us human. Choice, fear, love. We're not ready for that, I said. No, she agreed softly. But you will be. She turned toward the observation window, looking down at Earth. Your people surprise us, even now. They surprise us too, I said. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then she asked the question that had haunted me since the Grand Hall. Do you resent that I ordered you to kneel? I considered it carefully. I resented it, I admitted, until I understood why. And now, I exhaled slowly. Now I understand that some truths can't be accepted standing upright. Her smile this time held no sadness, only respect. Years passed. Human technology leapt forward, not violently, not recklessly, but with elegance. Faster than light travel no longer tore at reality. Energy systems became self-balancing. Artificial intelligence evolved alongside human intuition rather than replacing it. We did not conquer the galaxy. We stabilized it. Other species felt the change. Conflicts cooled. Borders softened. Old enemies found themselves unable to escalate violence beyond a certain threshold, as if the universe itself discouraged it. The Virexians called it the human effect. We called it responsibility. And still, the fragments slept, aware now, but restrained. A sword returned to its sheath. Because power, once remembered, no longer needed to be proven. On the 10th anniversary of the awakening, I returned to Capri Station. The grand hall of echoing light looked smaller than I remembered. Or perhaps I had grown. The Empress waited at the center this time, not on her throne. You will not kneel, she said before I could even speak. I wouldn't, I replied with a faint smile. That is why you are here. She gestured, and the stars above shifted, forming a familiar absence at the edge of perception. Distant. Watching. The hunter waits, she said. It learns. So do we. She studied me for a long time. When the time comes, will humanity kneel again? I shook my head. No, I said quietly. Next time we stand. Together. Fully awake. For the first time in her millennia-long reign, the Empress of Virexia bowed deeply. As I turned to leave the hall, I felt the fragments stir, not rising, not merging, but ready. The truth I had not been ready for all those years ago was finally clear. We were never meant to rule the galaxy. We were meant to remember it. And when the darkness returned, as it always did, it would not find us kneeling. It would find us standing where the architects once fell. Unbroken, unafraid, human.